we've been talking all day about the Seahawks, about how this team has a significant advantage pretty much everywhere. But this season has just felt like the season of the Patriots. And so I'm going to take these off really quick so I won't be able to hear you. I got to go get something real quick.
Jack Wright, if you're not watching, is on a mission to get something. Here we go.
Like the year, no? It just feels like the year of the Patriots. It just feels like they're back. And so with my score prediction.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the HAMMY Show presented by First American Bank and Trust. We've got the Super Bowl preview coming to you from me and Jack Wright, a very special guest that we have had the pleasure of joining us many a times as of recent. And this is the biggest one of them all. This is the Mac Daddy of them all. This is the Super Bowl, and we're going to uncover every single thing that you need to know as we go into Super Bowl Sunday, where Jack will be. I mean, that's going to be electric in San Francisco. Jack, first, let's talk about that before anything. You're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll be in San Francisco for the Super Bowl. We're working on finalizing tickets now, but it's going to be one heck of a journey. We're going to go out there and get some content. My roommate Joe Felix, he's going to be filming some street content, so I'll be helping him out with that. Maybe doing some content of our own. We just got confirmed for a couple parties on Friday and Saturday that we're going to be going to.
Let's go.
Doing some networking, getting some podcast guests, but 50 Cent's going to be there. There's going to be a couple fun people there. So if we can get a 50 Cent podcast, that'd be pretty sick.
That'd be awesome.
It's going to be a really fun time. Yeah, it's going to be a great time, so I'm really looking forward to it.
That is awesome. That is great. Well, before we hop into this, want to give a quick shout out to our presenting sponsor, First American Bank and Trust. They have been such helpful hands in me getting this show off the ground, and I would not be here without them. First of all, managing my money, but second of all, being the presenting sponsor of the HAMMY Show. So huge shout out to First American Bank and Trust. But Jack, let's get right into the Super Bowl preview. We're going to start with a little team comparisons. Who has the advantage on offense and who has the advantage on defense between the Seahawks and the Patriots?
All right. Well, this time I came a little more prepared than my last two times. I did about maybe an hour and a half of research, giving myself a cheat sheet here. So
there you go. I love it.
We're ready. We're ready here today. Wow, good question. Who's got the advantage on offense? Who's got the advantage on defense? I'll start on defense. I think it's clearly the Seahawks. The Seahawks have one of the best defenses of this generation right now. They're number 6 in defensive yards per game, third in rush defense, first in defensive points per game. Like, this defense is stagnant. This defense is very, very good, very, very solid. Let's not discredit the Patriots defense before I get any further on that. The Patriots defense are also 4th in points per game on defense, the 8th best defense in yards per game, the 6th best rush defense. Like, this defense is also very good. They just so happen to be going up against this generational Seattle defense. So if I'm picking one, I'm going to take Seattle's defense. And that's obviously more than just the stats, but stats will tell you that that's the case. But on offense, it's also very close. Both offenses are also within the top 10. I think Seattle's 7 and New England is 3rd. And New England's got the 2nd most points per game on offense. Like, this New England offense is humming. Now, I would like to. Oh, actually, you know what? I did a research for another video, and I can bring this into this one.
There we go. I love it. Mr. Prepared Jack Wright today. Look at this.
I'm trying. So, 2nd most points per game on offense. Now, really quickly, I want to touch on their schedule. Just really quickly before we can talk about it a little more later. But that 2nd most points per game on offense comes behind playing these teams. And the best way I can represent how easy this schedule is by talking about the teams they've played in terms of their draft position. They played this year the teams with the 1st pick, the 2nd pick twice, the 4th pick, the 5th pick, the 6th pick, the 8th pick, the 10th pick, and the 11th pick twice. Of their, 13 games or 10, 11 games? Or it's 11 games, and 11 teams fell within the top 11 picks. So, this has been one of the most ridiculous cakewalk schedules I've ever seen. And I think that plays a factor in some of these statistics, in terms of them being the second highest points per game, the third best offense, the fourth in defensive points per game. Like, that plays a factor. Anyway, long story short, I would take the Seahawks defense as well. Or the Seahawks offense as well, I should say. I would take the Seahawks offense as well. And it all comes down to the offensive line for me. I really like Seattle's offensive line. I love what they've built, and they protect Sam Darnold, who's a guy who I'm sure we're going to talk about at length in this show. But they protect him at a very high level, whereas you can't say the same about New England's offensive line. And if your offensive line isn't protecting your quarterback, then the entire offense breaks down from there. So personally, I'm taking both the Seahawks offense and their defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm riding with you on both of those as well. I want to go back to the defense first. I saw this Leonard Williams yesterday or 2 days ago at the media days, took the podium. Somebody asked him about the Legion of Boom and how this generational Seattle defense that you were just talking about is not the Legion of Boom, but there's something new. There's something better maybe, but they're creating their sort of own legend. And he said, yeah, we call ourselves the dark side. And I just love that. I think it's totally badass. Mike Macdonald was in on it on the decision. So that's just awesome. But yeah, no, they have the best, I think, defensive line in the NFL. Edge rushers, I'd probably go Texans, but then Seahawks. I mean, it's just studs all across the field. They're flying around. It looks like vintage Legion of Boom with Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman. Like, it is awesome to watch this Seattle defense play. But like you said, it's no discredit to the Patriots because they have been a stout defense all year long as well. Christian Gonzalez is maybe the best defensive player in the league, and I think that's a huge advantage for them because Seattle has such a dangerous weapon in JSN on the outside at receiver. So it's going to be – I think that Christian Gonzalez JSN matchup is a big one and a big deal in this game. That is two of the best going against each other, rep for rep. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. On the offensive side, I'm with you. I trust Sam Darnold more than Drake Maye, and I want to get your thoughts on that. I think Sam Darnold, even though this is his first Super Bowl appearance, just like Drake Maye's, he's obviously had a few more years in the NFL under his belt. He's been to the playoffs. I know he hasn't had a well-served playoff run with past teams, really only the Vikings. Sorry to your Minnesota Vikings. But no, I mean, I just think Sam Darnold is the better quarterback despite all of the Drake Maye love, despite all of the Drake Maye MVP conversations. So let's just go straight up on your side. Who do you take, Drake Maye or Sam Darnold?
Interesting. So coming out of the 2024 draft now? Coming out of the 2024 draft, I said that Drake Maye would be the best quarterback of the three big ones, of the Jaden Daniels, of the Caleb Williams, and I guess you can throw McCarthy and Penix in there as well if you want. But I thought Drake Maye was going to be the best quarterback of the three, and for a while there it looked really good. Caleb Williams has made a serious charge at that in the last 10 or so games. But I actually think if you put them on the same roster with the same offensive line, the same weapons, I would take Drake Maye. I really, really love Drake Maye. Not only what he can do with his arm and his ability to keep it out of harm's way, but his legs have been extremely, extremely effective this year, especially because his offensive line has a tendency to break down. His legs have been a key factor in some of these Patriots wins this year, and I really like his ability to do both. Maybe that's just because he's 7 years younger than Sam Darnold, and in Sam Darnold's second year, he could probably do similar things, but I would take Drake Maye. I understand why people would take Darnold. Experience plays a huge factor, but I really like Drake Maye. I like what he can do. Especially, like I said, if they're in the same system, same offense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally understand. If you put Drake Maye with a guy like JSN, he makes any quarterback look good. That's just the reality of how talented he is at wide receiver. I think, like you said as well, Seattle's offensive line is just insane. They are incredible and have been all year long protecting Darnold. So I want to go to some key factors, key matchups in this game, whether it's offensive versus defensive line on either team. What matchup in this game is kind of a telltale sign of what could be the result come the end of Super Bowl Sunday?
So what did I write? I had 4 matchups. I knew that was going to be one of the questions today before I even got the document. So I wrote down 4. But I think my biggest one is Will Campbell versus DeMarcus Lawrence. I think that's my number 1 matchup that will make or break this game. Just some stats for you to put this into perspective. Will Campbell has given up pressure rates of 17%, 12%, and 15% in the postseason so far, which is not great. I think the league average is 9%. So 17, 12, and 15 with 10 pressures and 4 sacks so far in the first 3 games. So not ideal. The big factor that everybody had a problem with Will Campbell coming out was his short arms. They were like, well, can he play tackle? Is he more of a guard because of how short his arms are? Well, I did a little digging on arm length, and DeMarcus Lawrence has some of the longer arms of edge rushers. He has almost 30, I think it's almost, where did I write it down? He almost has 34-inch arms, and Will Campbell's season-long pressure rate jumps from 11 to 14% when rushers have longer than 33.5-inch arms.
Now, this is some digging right here. I love it.
Lawrence has 34-inch arms, which plays a big factor. That 14% jump includes 8.5 of his 11 sacks came against guys with 33.5-inch or longer arms. The problem is for Will Campbell is that I guess a good thing and a bad thing. DeMarcus Lawrence is not a 3-down player. He does not play every snap. However, when DeMarcus Lawrence comes out, either Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, or Nwosu come in, all of which have longer than 33.5 inches. Every single one has longer than 33.5-inch arms. This is going to be a hellish day for Will Campbell. This obviously we've talked about this defense being incredible, their defensive line being dominant, but this defensive line is long. Like they're not the more of like the stubby go guys. They are long. They will get around you. They will push you around, especially a guy like Will Campbell who has shorter arms and has struggled in this playoff run. So Will Campbell versus DeMarcus Lawrence / long-armed pass rushers is going to be my number 1 key matchup in this game, and I think it's going to make or break this game. Who wins will decide the winner. Yeah,
damn, that is some serious digging. I love it. That is some good stuff. Jack Wright, come on, baby. No, I was thinking about it as you were talking. I can't remember who said it, but it's a retired offensive lineman, and he was talking about how quarterback, they can be sacked 30, 40 times per year and still be a Hall of Famer, still be a Super Bowl champ. But if an offensive guard or an offensive tackle even give up more than 2 sacks on the season, then they're cut. Like it is crazy the difference. And so that pressure rate and sack rate throughout these playoffs, all in the teens above that league average 9%, it's alarming and it's scary. And Will Campbell, I do think, has a great career ahead of him, but he's very, very young, and it's shown in some cases. He's been great at most times, but there's definitely some concern with Will Campbell's play. I love that matchup. That's a great one. I think I'm going tight ends versus tight ends. I think Hunter Henry has the advantage in this game, and Hunter Henry has been great. If the tight ends can get rolling, I think it relieves some of the pressure from the run game. I think both of these teams kind of have their tight ends in there as an extension of the run game, but in the run game, these tight ends have to block the edge well. So these running backs in Ramondre Stevenson and Kenneth Walker can bounce it outside. So I'm going tight ends for the matchup to keep an eye on. Let's go to quarterback again. That revisit Sam Darnold versus Drake Maye. Who will define this game? I know we said you're riding with Drake Maye, I'm riding with Sam Darnold, but who makes the game-changing play? Who has that capability to define Super Bowl 60?
Let's see if you can read this. It might be backwards. I hope it's not backwards.
No,
That's
you're good.
one of my matchups.
There you go. I love
Darnold
that. Darnold
versus
versus
Darnold.
Darnold.
That's like one of the biggest matchups I have of the game today, of the game on Sunday, I should say. When Darnold is good, he's been really good this year. Like, he's been very solid, protecting the ball, getting it downfield. But when he's bad, he has been really bad. Of his games, see, I was digging in stats during my prep this week. He's had 15 games this year with 25 plus dropbacks. 7 of those fall within the top 25th percentile of all quarterbacks with 25 dropbacks in terms of total performance. 6 of them are in the bottom 25th percentile, and then 2 are right in the middle. So he's either really good or really bad, and you kind of just have to hope he's on the really good end. And I think he has the ability to make or break this game, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. If Darnold comes out and he's throwing missiles and he's on target, he's in rhythm, the scheme is solid for him, I think they're going to run away with this game. But if he comes out and has a Sam Darnold game that I think a lot of people are kind of expecting, I think a lot of people are expecting an ugly Darnold game, then it's going to be a really fun, interesting game. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. In the first 10 games, his tight passing percentage, so completion percentage in tight passing windows, was 54%. Since then, 16%.
Sheesh.
So in the last 10 games, he's fallen off. That is a difference in passer rating from 110 to 9.
Wow.
He's thrown 1 touchdown and 5 interceptions in tight passing windows in the last 10 games. The good news is that he throws fewer of those than almost any other quarterback because Clint Kubiak does such a good job of scheming the offense open and scheming him to make easy reads, easy throws. But what happens when he gets off script? Because that'll work a couple times where he's scheming these balls open, but it won't work every time. What happens when he goes off script? That's going to be the difference in the game. Can Sam Darnold thrive and survive in off-script plays?
Yeah, I love that. I love the off script of Sam Darnold is something that we haven't seen very often. And like you said, it's a credit to Kubiak and what he's done with that offensive scheme for Seattle. So I go to the big moment, the clutch moment. If this game comes down to a last second drive, who are you putting the ball in the hands of? Sam Darnold or Drake Maye? Because I'm going to finish real quick. We haven't seen either of these. Maybe Darnold has the edge of more close games. Those 3 games with the Rams, like he has had to be that person, that guy, and step up. Drake Maye and the Patriots, like you said, because of their weak schedule, have run away with a ton of games. So we haven't seen him have to make that game-winning drive, except last weekend or 2 weekends ago in the AFC Championship against Denver. He gets that first down using his legs. So we've seen a little bit of the clutch moment, but we haven't seen it kind of like a Matthew Stafford or a Josh Allen where it's game in, game out. He's supposed to put the team on their back. So all that to say, who's the guy you want the ball with at the end of the game if it comes down to it?
I feel like I'm cheating with my answer. But I'm going to take Sam Darnold because of his surrounding cast.
Yeah.
I would take Sam Darnold just because in one of these clutch moments, I would trust the Seahawks offensive line to protect Sam Darnold and JSN to come up with a big catch more than I would trust the offensive line of the Patriots and Stephon Diggs to make a big play. So if it really comes down to it, I'd take Darnold. Especially because in those big moments down the stretch, let's say the Patriots are down 4 with a minute and a half to play and they're on the 50-yard line. The Seahawks blitz at the 6th highest rate in the NFL. Like, the Seahawks are going to send pressure. They're not going to give him a lot of time. And they know they can overwhelm Will Campbell, even with because he's been getting help. Like, they've been chipping Will Campbell too. Like, they've been helping Will Campbell, and he's still allowing these pressures. I know in that moment the Seahawks would send the house and rely on their athletic defensive backs and their secondary to protect while this Seahawks front seven goes to work. So I would take Sam Darnold and the Seahawks in a clutch moment like that.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm leaning more towards Sam Darnold. I think there is a separating factor in the use of legs. I think Drake Maye has that better ability than Sam Darnold does. We saw it in that game-clinching drive against the Broncos in the AFC Championship. So if it comes down to a 2-yard gain on 4th and 2 to get in field goal range and you want to draw up a quarterback sneak, give me Drake Maye. But that's a very, very specific case. Otherwise, like you said, because of the supporting cast, because of a guy like JSN, because of a running back like Kenneth Walker, who I'm taking, but we'll get to the running backs in a sec. But I just think you have more of a reliable group around you for Sam Darnold's case. So let's get to the skill positions. To the running backs first. Who do you take, Ramondre Stevenson or Kenneth Walker?
I'm going to take the group of Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson.
Yes.
Over the group of Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I think neither are like top tier running backs, but they're both top tier running back duos. Both are very solid, very productive, and I really like the thunder and lightning that each of them present. But in this playoff run so far, Travion Henderson has been unbelievable. He has been very, very good. Since coming off of his injury in general, he's been very, very solid. And so I would take the combination of him and Travion, the fresh legs, the young guy, versus Kenneth Walker, who's been good, but Kenneth Walker is one of the biggest question marks in the NFL to me. I just don't understand like what he really is, what his ceiling is, how good he really is. And so I like the yin and yang of the Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson so far in the postseason, so far in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I love Kenneth Walker. I don't know what it is, but I just like him. I think in the NFC Championship, he did just enough. I think he had like 69 yards or something, 62 yards. And it was just enough to kind of relieve that pressure off of Darnold. But the running back by committee, because Kenneth Walker is now a solo show with Zach Charbonnet out. I don't even know who their third string back is that has been playing. But no, I mean, I think Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson definitely as a pair have the advantage. But for some reason, I'm going, if you had to take the individual, I guess I'd lean Kenneth Walker. For some reason, I just love him. But I think this is a huge matchup in this game is the wide receiver versus cornerback. Wide receiver 1 versus cornerback 1. Stephon Diggs for the Patriots at the wide receiver position versus Devon Witherspoon is likely the matchup that we'll see. And then vice versa, you got JSN versus Christian Gonzalez. Who in those matchups has the advantage, the Seahawks or the Patriots? Or more specifically, JSN, or you get what I mean.
I would take JSN over Christian Gonzalez. I think the receivers always had a little bit of an advantage, but I would take JSN over Christian Gonzalez. And then I did a little numbers. I looked at a couple numbers when it comes
stats and info. Jack Wright.
I'm working on it today. I'm telling you. And I was trying to dive into some stuff that I don't quite understand. As I've said previously, I'm not a big X's and O's guy. I just never have been.
Yeah, same.
And so I'm learning. That's my goal, is to learn. And so one of the key matchups that I had that will lay into this argument or into this debate is McDaniels versus dime and nickel defenses. So. Dime defense, obviously 6 DBs on the field. Nickel defense, 5 DBs on the field. When I think the Patriots or the Seahawks are going to try and run a little bit more zone than they have for the rest of the year this year. They have run a lot of man. They've been a primarily man team this year. And I think they're going to run just a little bit of zone. But McDaniels is going to be the deciding factor on how he tests this Seahawks secondary. The Seahawks run 25% dime defense, which is the third highest in the NFL. Dime is not used super frequently just because when you have 6 DBs on the field, most teams are sitting there and going, well, our sixth best DB, I don't feel comfortable with him on the field. That's a lapse in coverage somewhere. But if you're the Seahawks, that's either Josh Jobe or Tariq Woolen is your sixth DB. And so you feel more than comfortable. You feel more than comfortable in that defense. Not only that, in dime, Seattle has given up 5.3 yards per pass attempt, which is second only to the 2020 Rams in the last 10 years. So this dime defense that they run is extremely, extremely effective. And so they'll be running that when they're in high passing situations. So third and long or like 11 personnel. Like they're going to be running a lot more dime in those third and long situations, second and long where it's like kind of, the pass is coming. And so when they're in dime, Witherspoon will play in the slot. I know this is kind of a convoluted answer, but when they're in dime, Witherspoon will play in the slot. And so they're going to have to decide where they want to place Stephon Diggs and Kayshon Boutte in order to specifically attack, whether it's Witherspoon or Carlton Davis. They're going to have to decide when they're in dime and nickel who they're going to attack. And so I think this is a huge Mike McDaniel's big brain battle versus the Seattle defense. And I think because of Witherspoon's flexibility to play in the slot, play in the outside, he's been unbelievable. I think he's the number one player in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? Not diversity, but like his ability to flexibility, his ability to play both. He's number one overall in the ability to do both of those. I think they're going to have a significant advantage because whether they're in dime or nickel, Witherspoon is at an advantage versus whoever he's in front of. And it's just going to be up to the Patriots offense to scheme Diggs away from Devon Witherspoon, which, like I said, if they're in dime, is right into 5 more very, very good secondary players. So I like the Seahawks in both of those matchups. I like JSN versus Gonzalez, and I like the Seahawks defense against this Patriots pass offense, specifically Diggs.
Yeah. All right. So you just deep dove into the defensive side of the ball, want to uncover it a little more. How do you shut down JSN? Like we talked about it last time, and you were like, it's like trying to shut down LeBron, Kobe, or Michael. You don't shut them down. You just limit them. What does limiting look like for JSN in this game that can help the Patriots?
You can only hope to slow him down, like we said last time, but it's going to be safety help over the top. Like that's going to be the only way you're going to be able to stop him is just bracketing him and having safety help over the top. Sorry, there's NBA. I'm trying to keep up with NBA things that are happening at the same time.
Breaking news.
Nothing crazy. Just Ousmane Zhang got flipped from Chicago. Like he was in that deal. Just Mason Plumlee going to the Thunder. Like that's pretty much all it was. So nothing very interesting. But like I said, playing over the top on JSN, you have to have 4 eyes on him at all time. There's going to be, if he gets in single coverage, he's going to exploit this secondary of the Patriots and just run all over them. He's going to find holes. Him and Sam Darnold have created a great relationship this year in terms of just finding each other, even when it is off script sometimes. That is his go-to guy, obviously. But I really don't know if there's anything you can do to truly stop him. The only team that actually did a solid job of it was the Vikings earlier in the year. And I know I wrote something down about it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but basically copying what the Vikings were doing, which was blanketing him over the top and completely bracketing him to one side. There's not, I wish I had more I could say you can do to stop him, but there's very little you can do with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
He's insane. He is. I think without a shadow of the doubt, the best receiver in the NFL this year. And yep, you can only slow him down. That is the mantra, and it has to be the mantra of this Patriots defense. So, This is a defensive and quarterback question kind of coupled together. Of course, a turnover in any game, but especially the playoffs and even more so the Super Bowl, is of the most massive turnaround of momentum swings you can get. So, which quarterback is more likely to throw an interception or turn the ball over, and which defense is more likely to capitalize on, say, a bad pass, a fumble? You get what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm putting down? Who has the ability to have that momentum swinging moment on the defensive side of the ball?
Funnily enough, I think it's different answers on each side. I think Darnold is more likely to put the ball in harm's way, but I think the Seattle defense is much more likely to capitalize on a bad ball. So what does that mean? That means this could be a game of turnovers. Like, this could be I could see both quarterbacks throwing 2 picks in this game. Like, this game could get ugly, I want to say, if you're an offensive fan. This game could get ugly in a hurry. But I think Sam Darnold's going to be more likely to make a mistake in one of those off-script moments where he just kind of has a little panic, where he needs to get rid of the ball, he needs to find somebody, he needs to do something, make the big play, be the hero, and then boom, interception. Christian Gonzalez, interception. Even one of the linebackers just coming back, throwing the ball across his body, which I'm sure in practice for both guys all week has been like, all right, if you get in trouble, this is the Super Bowl, just don't be stupid, throw it away. But you get in that moment, and sometimes things don't click. But the Seattle defense is much more likely to pounce on a bad ball, a bad play. I could see a forced fumble coming off the right side, right around Will Campbell. DeMarcus Lawrence just blows up Drake Maye, and somebody falls on that football, and it's just like that. Field change, field flip, complete game changer. So Darnold's the one who I think is more likely to throw the pick, but the Seahawks are the more likely team to come up with one.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm totally picking up what you're putting down. I think I'm on the same page. I think Darnold is definitely more interception prone. And I'm going to take it even like a more specific step further in that Drake Maye is more likely to put the ball on the ground. He's the more likely to fumble the ball, whether it's a sack from behind, something like that. And I think the Seattle defense, it just swarms and they'll fall on top of the ball than that offense that just has to capitalize. I think it is going to be a turnover game, like you said. I think I can very well see 2 picks per quarterback. I can see a fumble by a running back, anything. I mean, I think this could get really ugly, turn into a low-scoring game thanks to a bunch of turnovers on maybe death march drives, and they come up short with no points inside the red zone and just lose it. It's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. So I want to take a break in analytics and talk fan perspective. There's so much during Super Bowl week that is more than just the football game. So you can choose something that is on the field, because I know we're both the sports guys and we're just ready for good football. But what do you think is the most anticipated thing of this Super Bowl, whether it's watching it on TV or being there? Is it the stadium, the halftime show, the national anthem, the commercials? What is your thought on the Super Bowl? Because like I said, it is so much more than just football. However, you can choose something about the game that you are most excited to see.
What am I most excited to see? All right, I'm going to pick something that's not revolving around the game. I have 2 things. I think you mentioned both of them. For good or the bad, depending on where you stand, this halftime show will be very interesting to see the response. I am very curious to see the response. I think there is a high probability of some not good fallout coming from this halftime show. I think in America's game, in this whole thing, and like, I'm not here taking sides, but in like America's game, announcing that you're coming out and you're going to be in dresses and you're going to be doing things like that, I don't think is going to sit well with the common NFL fan. That's all I'll say about that. I don't think it's going to sit well with the common NFL fan. So not as much excited. I am curious to see what happens with that. I am really excited about the commercials. I've always been a commercial guy. I'm a marketing guy in general. So I really like watching the commercials.
Same.
Obviously, if I'm at the game, I won't be able to watch any of the commercials.
It's a good problem to have, okay?
Good problem to have. That's true. But yeah, I like the commercials a lot. So if I am watching it, maybe I don't know. Are there sports books in California? I don't know.
I don't know if it's legal there yet. I think it
Okay.
is.
We'll
No,
see.
in California, it definitely is.
Well, we're going to a party. We're going like the party with 50 cents is a DraftKings party. So I assume it is, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely. I'm pumped
Um,
about the commercials. That's for sure. Because I will be watching it on television. Thanks for rubbing it in. But no, the ones that have dropped so far. I don't know if you saw the Budweiser one, electric.
Really
The
good.
Pepsi one with the direct hit on Coca-Cola, crazy. It's gonna be animosity filled. I'm excited for a Doritos commercial. They're always
Yep.
electric. I'm trying to think of what else are some good ones. But gosh, through the years, great commercials from multiple companies, and I love the marketing side of it. The sports management, sports marketing side of the Super Bowl is the greatest exhibit, if you will, of
Mhm.
just genius marketing skills. So the commercials are always fun to look forward to. All right, back to the analytics.
Mhm.
Which coaching staff do you give the advantage to? And you can get specific and talk which head coach too, but both coaching staffs have been impeccable all year long. I mean, I think Mike Macdonald is one of the great young coaches. Obviously, he's only in his second year and he's in a Super Bowl. And Vrabel, first year with the Patriots, had a long stint with the Titans, but two young coaches in their respective tenures with their teams. So, who do you give the advantage to?
I think what the Seahawks have done all season is much more impressive from a coaching standpoint. I think that honestly, if they weren't in the Super Bowl, both I'm blanking right now on their defensive coordinator's name. The Seahawks, that is. Uh, I don't know why, but I think both Kubiak and their defensive coordinator would already have head coaching jobs. Whereas we have seen the McDaniels coaching job before. That didn't go over very well. But I really like what Seattle's done. Mike Macdonald's obviously a very, very smart young head coach. And Vrabel's been very solid, but I just think with the schedules of both teams, like it wasn't exactly rocket science to coach this Patriots team through this schedule. And so I really like what the Seahawks have been doing. I think the mind games that Kubiak will be pulling on this defense and just the overall, like I talked about, McDaniels versus this diamond nickel defense, I think is going to be really, really interesting to watch. And I give the advantage to Seattle there. They have the choice of what they're going to do, and McDaniels just kind of has to respond. And so I really like Seattle's coaching staff, especially Mike Macdonald.
Yeah, I'm riding with Mike all day long. He has been Mike Macdonald. That is the battle of the mics. But I think he's just his exhibit of defensive prowess is unmatched, I think, in the game of football right now. He has schemed together one of the most talented but versatile defenses in Seattle that we've seen in a very long time, probably since the Legion of Boom. Maybe those vintage Ravens defenses with Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and those guys, Ed Reed. But it is so fun to watch. And if you are a defensive guy, this is going to be a great defensive battle of a game. But man, if you know football, ball, gosh, watching Mike Macdonald's defense is just special. So momentum. This is a definitely some type of factor in this game. So I guess the question would kind of be who has the more impressive playoff run that is giving them the sort of push of like, oh, nobody should mess with us. We're kind of the kings of the mountain, and until somebody dethrones us, we're going to stay up there. So who do you think has the momentum advantage going into Super Bowl 60?
Funnily enough, I don't think either of these teams have had a brutal playoff schedule.
No.
I mean, the playoffs, the Patriots played the Chargers in the first round, who had 5 Pop-Tarts playing offensive line for them. I mean, they couldn't block a field mouse. And then they played the Texans in where C.J. Stroud had the worst playoff performance of any quarterback I've ever watched in my life. Now, give some credit to the Patriots defense. They created some of those turnovers, but it was a terrible performance nonetheless. Drake Maye didn't play good in that game. I think he had 2 turnovers, maybe 3. Drake Maye didn't play good in that game. And then they played Jarrett Stidham in a snow globe. So not exactly the most impressive playoff push. The Seahawks didn't have to play a first-round game. And then they played a just hobbled 49ers team. No George Kittle, no Fred Warner, no Brandon Ayuk, obviously. Team was completely decimated. I think Christian McCaffrey got hurt at some point during that game too. Won like 41-9, I think it was. And then they played the real test, the Rams. That was an absolute gutsy win, like very, very solid win. And that's the reason I think they have had the better playoff run, is because they beat the Rams. Like, they beat the team that I thought was a shoo-in to win the Super Bowl. And so I think they've had the more impressive playoff run. I haven't been overly impressed with the Patriots. I think they've just handled business as they have done all season, which, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The Patriots have only fallen behind for 25 of 180 minutes in this total offseason so far. Jeez. So nobody's really seen this Patriots team all season backs against the wall. That could be a good thing and a bad thing for the Patriots. Bad thing, they haven't really dealt with adversity like that. And so how are they going to respond? How is this young quarterback, young coaching staff going to respond, specifically with Vrabel being young with the Patriots? But how is this young offensive line going to respond in these pressure moments? But also, nobody's seen this team with their back against the wall. They could bring out a whole nother monster that we've never seen before if they get down 2 scores early. Like this, it just hasn't happened to them this season. And so it's going to be very curious if they somehow find a way down 10-0, like quick in the first 8 minutes of the game. I'm very curious to see which Patriots comes out, because it wouldn't surprise me if they have another gear where they're just like, let's go. We're turning it on. We're turning this on right now. It's the last game of the year. It's the biggest game of the year. Like, let's go do it right now. And so I think the Seahawks have the momentum right now, but the Patriots have a hidden dog that has not been let off the leash yet that we could see come out at any moment. Now, that dog could be a 3-legged Chihuahua, or it could be a Rottweiler chomping at the chain ready to get after the meat wagon. And we will see which one it is, and I'm very curious to see which one happens.
I love that. That's a social clip right there. That was a good one. That's definitely getting highlighted on the gram. Good stuff. The driving force of the Hammy Show has been Hughes Subaru all season long. They're the momentum that has carried us to many sporting events, many games across the country. And while they are not getting us to the Super Bowl, I wish maybe we'll get Jack Wright suited up in a Subaru from Hughes Subaru of Athens to get to Super Bowl 60. But huge shout out to Hughes Subaru for powering the Hammy Show on the road. Let's talk about breakout performers, X factors. Who is your guy that is maybe behind the scenes for each team that could be the catalyst for a Super Bowl win and hoisting that Lombardi trophy come Sunday night?
Chris Paul just got traded to the Raptors. So
there we go. Breaking news.
I know. Breaking news. My key factor. So I have 3 key players on each side, if that's kind of
go for it,
the direction we're going in. I'll start with the Patriots. I think obviously Will Campbell. Will Campbell is the number 1 most important player in this entire game. Will Campbell is the X factor. And so Will Campbell is my number 1 key player for the Patriots. Keeping Drake Maye upright, just preventing this very talented Seattle pass rush from absolutely demolishing their game plan. We've talked a lot about him. Carlton Davis is another Patriots player that I think is going to play a big factor when they do have Witherspoon not on JSN. When that does happen, when they're in that schematic where JSN is matched up with somebody else, that's not Christian Gonzalez, it's probably going to be Carlton Davis. And Carlton Davis's ability to not, it's not your job to stop him. it's just your job to not give up the touchdown, the 90-yard play, the 80-yard play, like the explosive. His ability to not give up the explosive is going to be a huge, huge key for the Patriots' success in this game. And he's very good and very physical, so I wouldn't put it past him to do well against Jackson Smith and Jigba, but it's going to be a battle nonetheless and a chess match with Carlton Davis, Gonzalez, and these different schemes that are going to be implemented, whether it's zone or man. And then my third key player for the Patriots, honestly, I think is the biggest one. It's Will Campbell again. He's on here twice because this entire game falls on his shoulders, in my opinion. And that's a lot for like a 22-year-old to handle. But this game falls on his shoulders. And if he does a bad job of protecting Drake Maye, we're going to see the ball hit the ground a couple times. We're going to see the ball in somebody else's hands a couple times. And so Will Campbell, again, is the biggest X factor in this game for the Patriots.
I love it. I'm leaning Hunter Henry. I talked about the tight end matchup. I think it's a big one, and I give Hunter Henry the advantage in the tight end play during this game. I really think he is a top-tiered tight end in all of the NFL. He's a captain of this team. He's been a security blanket for Drake Maye, and if he can get going, he can get a few catches, but really in the run-blocking game to protect Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, I think he's got to be a factor kind of as an extended offensive lineman and then in the passing game as well. If they can get him open, if they can scheme him into some specific places, he is kind of a honey hole. Just to get 10 yards, he's good yards after the catch, yak guy. And I don't know. I love Hunter Henry, and I think he's going to play a big-time factor in this Super Bowl. Okay. Prop bets of the Super Bowl are always a hot topic in Super Bowl week. What is your favorite prop bet?
So I did a little bit of research again on the Gatorade color because I think that's the most fun one for me. I think the national anthem's interesting. Charlie Puth singing the national anthem. I'm a big Charlie Puth fan, so I'm excited about that. Prop bet for the Gatorade color. Some background before the actual numbers. Every time the Pats have won, they've had blue Gatorade. So every time the Patriots have won, they've had blue Gatorade. Now, that was a Bill Belichick team. This is a different head coach team, so maybe they change it up, maybe not. But Vrabel was on some of those teams where they had blue Gatorade. The Seahawks had orange last time they won. So a little bit of that. We have not seen orange since 2020.
Okay.
So we had like blue, purple, yellow, I think is what I remember reading.
Mm-hmm.
And then little sidebar off the wall if you really want to bet something crazy. We haven't seen clear since 2008, and you can get clear at plus 1100. If you want clear water, plus 1100, haven't seen it since 2008. Either we're due or it's just a trend. But some of these odds, you can get blue for plus 200, orange for plus 250, yellow for plus 260, and then purple for plus 800, red for plus 1100.
Crazy. All right, what's your pick? What are you riding with?
I don't. My pick gives away my pick of the game.
Okay, we'll get to it then.
So it's either blue or orange. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. All right, we'll revisit this topic. I'm gonna go away from either side of the blue or orange. I'm taking purple. I think that's a great value bet. Happened 2 years in a row, 2 years ago. So I'm going purple. I think, what'd you say, plus 260? Was that right?
Purple is plus 800.
Oh, plus 800. Oh, freaking great value. Yeah. All right, I'm riding with purple. I love it. Yeah, dude, it's that is I think the funniest part about the Super Bowl is the prop bets that happen off the field. I was at a buddy's house watching it 2 years ago, and he had 9 prop bets going and went 0 for 9. 0 for. I mean, it's harder to do that than get all of them right. Like,
it's harder to do that than hit one of them.
Yeah, exactly. So he, that's a brutal, but prop bets always fun here in the Super Bowl. National Anthem one is great. I don't know the line on it. I don't know the odds.
It's 120 and a half seconds.
120 and a half seconds. So right at 2 minutes.
Right at 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
I saw the experts were all taking the under.
Okay. I mean, Charlie Puth sounds like a guy who doesn't abuse music. He's the music man himself, and he doesn't try and make it his own and go off on some 25-second belt out of one note. So I like the under as well. That's a good one. But the music behind the Hammy Show, we are tuned up by the Vinyl Frontier record store right in Carrollton, Georgia. If you're heading down I-20, pull off in Carrollton, the city of dreams, go to the town square, and right there is the Vinyl Frontier. It is the best record store in all of America. You can find any record in there. It's all about the experience, sitting down, putting 8-track on, and listening to some vinyl. But if you can't get to them, go to their website, vinylfrontier.com, and you can find any single record that you want in the entire universe. So, Vinyl Frontier is tuning up the Hammy Show, and we are much appreciative of them. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Score predictions. Let's get it going, and we might get a revisit to the Gatorade color with Jack Wright's pick right here. Who we going? What's the score?
So I came prepared for this one.
I love it.
We've been talking all day about the Seahawks, about how this team has a significant advantage pretty much everywhere. But this season has just felt like the season of the Patriots. And it's just felt like the stars have aligned perfectly for this team to make a deep run. Vrabel coming back. It's just been perfect. And it's honestly been like out of a movie, and it feels like kind of like the Signetti story where it's like they zero to hero. Like they went 4-12 last year. They had the fourth overall pick, I think. And so like it's just felt like the Patriots' time, like the dynasty is back. And so I'm going to take these off really quick so I won't be able to hear you. I got to go get something real quick.
Oh, Jack Wright, if you're not watching, is on a mission to get something, but he will soon return. If you're watching, you're looking at an empty chair on his side of the screen, and this is maybe a Lee Corso pick. Is he putting on the headgear? We shall see. But Jack Wright, ladies and gentlemen, is about to make his pick of the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Seahawks in Super Bowl 60. What a show it's been so far. It has been absolutely enjoyable talking with Jack Wright. I can't believe he's going to the Super Bowl. I'm royally pissed off that I won't be there. But, yeah, here we go.
Like the year, no? It just feels like the year of the Patriots. It just feels like they're back. And so with my score prediction, I'm going 27-13 Seattle. Give me the Seahawks. I'm taking the Seahawks 27-13. It's their year. It's the Sam Darnold redemption arc. I got the Russell Wilson jersey on representing the quarterback, but it's the year of the Hawk. It is time for Sam Darnold to make his mark and climb to the top of the mountain and claim that Lombardi trophy. It's the Seahawks year. Give me the Hawks 27-13.
Let's freaking go. That was electric. Oh, what good television we have right here. Podcasting from Jack Wright. Exceptional stuff, my friend.
So give me that orange Gatorade as well.
Yeah. All right. There's the orange Gatorade pick. God, how legendary was that moment? One of the best moments in Hammy Show history. Good stuff. I love that. Yeah, that is awesome. All right. Now for my pick, mine's not going to be near as exciting. I don't have a Seahawks jersey. I have a Patriots jersey, but I'm not putting it on because I'm taking the Seahawks as well. I really thought you were going Patriots right there. It
felt like it, huh?
You threw me for a curveball. I love it. I'm taking Seahawks. You said 27-13, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going. I think there's some drives down inside the 40-yard line, some field goals kicked in this game. I'm going 23-16. 7-point game. Seattle on top. We're both riding with the Hawks. Home of the 12th man. What a story it would be to get the 12th man another Lombardi trophy, another Super Bowl ring. All right, one final question to wrap this thing up. As a revenge story, as a ultimate story arc thrown right back in the Patriots' face, what are the odds that the Seahawks run it in from the 1 yard line and get a touchdown, or vice versa, pass it on the 1 yard line and get a touchdown as well. Because there's got to be a moment in this game where it happens for the revenge story.
I mean, it just feels like the stars would align that way, no? Where they're on the 2 yard line, they're on the 1.5 yard line, they're like, let's just throw it. Let's just throw it. Let's see what happens. And in that moment where Sam Darnold catches a snap and pulls it off play action, every Seahawks fan in America's hearts will be in their stomach. It will just be a disgusting sight for Seahawks fans to see. And instead of throwing the slant, we're going to throw a little fade to JSN instead of throwing the slant over the middle into a stacked box because, they're expecting the run. But no, I think it would be generational. I think it'd be awesome if we saw either one, whether you run it in and get the vengeance or you throw it and just nail in the coffin. I would like to see either one. And I hope it happens. I really do. And that's going to make a great social clip when it does.
Oh my God, we're going to fiend over it. So we're both riding Seahawks. I think the line's still 4.5 last I looked right before we got on. So Seahawks to win and to cover from both of us. God, I can't get over your pick. That was absolutely electric stuff, Jack. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an awesome one. Super Bowl preview right here on the Hammy Show with my good pal, Jack Wright. Follow him on social media at Jack M. Wright. He's going to have so much stuff coming from the Super Bowl in San Francisco. What a week you have ahead of yourself. Going to be electric. And ladies and gentlemen, that does it for us. I'm your host, Hammy Culpepper. This is my co-host and guest today, Jack Wright. What a special show it's been. Have fun. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Stay safe. And as always, this is the Hammy Show presented by First American. Ham it up, ladies and gentlemen.